talk about hypergraph and yeah, so hope it's gonna be accepted to start hopefully, or
hopefully, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks, Mark, and thanks everyone for coming. And today I'm going to talk about my work with Mattia, Shannon, and Tetrapol. And this work, in this work we improve the hypergraph perfect matching algorithm, which I want to emphasize in the talk today. And there are a few applications. Probably I will just briefly mention, like because like for the audience here, like people are not in the graph algorithms, I mean sequential graph algorithm. So I will just briefly mention how this applied in the graph algorithms world, and also there are connections to algorithmic game theory. That the hypergraph perfect matching algorithm can be used to like for computing a constant approximation for the fair allocation, which is called Santa Claus problem. Okay, so now let's start. So as I already motivated a little bit, so let's directly go to the setting of the hypergraph perfect matching. Let me define what is bipartite hypergraph. So bipartite hypergraph. H consists of two parts. That's a set of vertices A and on the left, and a set of vertices B on the right. And each hyperedge, in our definition, it will only consist of one vertex in A. So for any edge, so it intersects exactly one vertex on the left-hand side. And let's say H is R bounded if the rank of the hyperedge is bounded by R plus 1. Plus 1 means that, okay, you have to intersect with A, but when you intersect with B, the size should be almost down. This is called bounded. Okay.
How big are the hyperedges? Are they different sizes or?
They can be different sizes, and I think in some applications, people considering our uniform hypergraph, which like you have this to be a equality. But in our setting, we do it in a more general case that the hyperedge, the rank can be different, but you have this R bounded.
So normal bipartite graphs are is what?
Yeah, not for normal graph, R equals to 1. And so okay, so now you might curious about how we could have efficient algorithm to compute this, because okay, question.
Sorry, really quickly. Can you explain a bit why we care that it's a hyperedge as opposed to just a regular bipartite graph where A has lots of edges to the vertices in B?
Sorry again.
What's the point of the hyperedge?
What's the point?
Yeah.
So for example, you can think about like the left-hand side, there are people, and you want to say allocate the atoms to the people, right? And you can also use this in other applications, like in our application. So in a normal graph G, we define which we call it path-connected hypergraph, that each A is a domain, like SITI, and each B is a whole support of the edges, and the hyperedge corresponding to a path from SITI, which uses a subset of edges. So there are quite a lot of applications here, but underlying with the same underlying model. Okay, and yeah, so now you might curious about like how we could derive efficient algorithm for this, because this seems to be incomplete because of 3D matching, right? This is even complete for r equals to 2. Right. So does everyone know that 3D? Yeah, 3D matching and now sorry for the problem. 3D matching. I think it is like in a tripartite graph. Like each hyperedge is like this. It consists like a vertex from each part, and you want to compute a perfect matching of this.
What does it mean by match?
All right, I haven't defined matching here. Okay. Let me first define what is a matching. So, matching. Yeah. And is a subset of edges, such that the edges doesn't overlap, right? Yeah, there are vertex disjoint. And we say M is perfect, it contains every vertex from the left-hand side. So, yeah. So we say M is perfect. And the CDM matching is a slightly different definition that you have a tripartite graph. I mean, you can reduce this to the 3D matching, and you want to, and each hyperedge have like it's 3 uniform consists, moreover it consists one vertex from each part. And you want to find an algorithm to compute such a perfect matching, and it turns out it isn't complete, right? And you can reduce this problem to 3D matching. I mean. The other way around, sorry, like by just combine like 2 parts together. Okay. Yeah. So because this connection, we need something stronger. Like I mean, we need an assumption to be stronger. And it turns out, fortunately, we have such assumption, which is a generalization of Hauss condition. So for Hauss condition, like this the amount of Hauss condition. So for any S from the left-hand side, and you take a look at the neighbors, right? Like the edges relevant to the subset S. And let's say, okay, how do we a neighbor? Okay, let me use this. This is like the vertex relevant to these edges in the right-hand side, and this is at least the set of S, right? This is Hauss condition. And now we did a generalization of Hauss condition, and it turns out yes, we have it's called Hauss condition. What is ES? ES. Okay. ES. Now it's all the edges relevant to that it's incident to some vertex in S. Right? What is B here? Okay, B is so okay, B I say B plus is the set of vertices from B that there exists in ES B in E. Okay. Right. Yeah, I don't think we use this later. So this is just a quick reminder of the Hauss condition. And for the generalization in hypergraph, Hexel, she found this in 1995. For any S in A, she defined the heating set of ES. The minimum heating set I will define very soon. As long as it is at least actually 3 greater than 2r minus 3 times S, then such a perfect matching always exists. So this is only existential. Let me show you what
That's
this
a quick question.
Yep.
So Paul's theorem is still necessary and sufficient.
for r equals to 1.
So is it necessary or sufficient for general R?
Hexel's condition, yes, it's necessary and sufficient.
Oh, I see. And Hall's condition is just.
It's
you're
just
giving it to help us remember what Hall's condition.
Yeah, this is just like you see like it is
Got it.
generalization in some way. And tau, it is called the minimum heating set. It is defined as the mean of the cardinality of the subset of vertices in B, such that you hit every edges in ES. So for any in ES, that it is heating by some vertex from P.
Sorry, 2 questions. That's the same R as the R which is bounding the size of the edges.
Yeah. So this is crucial.
Okay, and then sorry, what did you say that the tau EMS is?
So tau ES is the minimum cardinality of a subset of vertices from B from the right hand side that you hit every edges in ES.
Okay.
So in Hall's condition, you can see like it degenerate to the size of the neighborhood. Yeah. So that's like you pick R equals to. Okay. There is off by 1 problem here. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to do this very ugly, but for now, okay. Let's just make it ugly, but it works. Yeah.
So the intuitive structure of like the hypergraph that should have Axel's condition, you want B to be. Could you just describe what that kind of graph is a bit more?
This condition.
Yeah, like what does that kind of graph look like?
Yeah, so like you pick any subset S from the left hand side, and you see like for each vertex there are a lot of hyper edges incident to this edge, incident to this vertex, right? And you just take a look at all these edges. So now after this you don't care like what these edges comes from anymore. You don't. Okay, you can just ignore the subset, like the left hand side, and you just look at the right hand side, and you want many vertices. You want its like well expansion that you do need a lot of vertex to hit all these edges, right? Yeah.
So definitely understand that this is a plausible sufficient condition. You say it's also necessary.
Yeah. So
How can it be necessary if R is just an upper bound?
sorry.
Like if R is just an upper bound on the number of things on the right hand side. Like what stops me from having?
Oh, like this is not the upper bound on the this is the upper bound on the volume of the edge, like the rank of each edge. But like the vertices on the right hand side can be like much larger than can be.
Sure, but like I'm wondering, like what's say I have a graph and there's like one hyperedge of size R, and then other than that, all the other hyperedges of size 2. So it's like basically a graph. It's basically a bipartite regular graph. Then it feels like this condition.
Oh, sorry, are you asking why this is necessary?
Yeah.
Oh, then like it is like for any N and R, there exists you just need to see that there exists a hypergraph that probably you just like like it's very tight. Like even if this is equals, you still doesn't have a perfect matching.
Okay, so just to confirm,
Yeah.
there could be graphs with a perfect matching that. What these, that there could be graphs with perfect matchings that don't satisfy axial sufficient.
Oh,
There is no,
yeah.
but, okay, it's definitely sufficient for all graphs.
Oh, yeah.
And there exist graphs for which it is tight.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for clarifying this. Yeah.
So this is a sufficient condition, not necessary.
Yeah, but
Is
but
it
how to-
tight, is it tight sufficient?
yeah, it's tight sufficient. Yes. Yes, and now in this talk, we want to make this efficient by even making this assumption even stronger. So that's the point.
But this is still not efficient.
This is still not. This is only existential, and I believe that one still needs exponential time because of the NP complete result.
So it's exactly complete even on graphs satisfy this condition. But
Oh, good question. Actually, yeah. Actually, I don't know.
is it easy to verify this condition? But this seems painful this now.
Yeah, there are exponentially many constraints here. Not sure.
So original Stokes theorem is just linear program, and you write the rule, and by some miracle, all the relevant points are integers, so it's actually tight, which you didn't have to do, but we are liking it, it's becoming summation polynomial.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So let me say the previous result from my so that's not a polynomial time algorithm, but to achieve first efficient algorithm in some sense. Okay. So given that as is required minus 3 plus epsilon. So let's ignore the off by one problem. I think you can, yeah. So I think you need to make R to be R plus Y everywhere under our definition, but let's first ignore it. So just slightly strengthen this, you will get an algorithm in I'll define P for this P, but it is basically the size of input to the poly R over epsilon. So it's here this algorithm. Okay, so P is the size of input. So because you are given a hypergraph, size of input is the summation of the polynomial factors. Okay. You can see this is not polynomial time if say R is a super constant or some weird epsilon, right?
It's not gonna be large, right? Can be more than one.
Epsilon, I think in their work, no, but it can be constant. Yeah.
And I think that's not even do up.
So epsilon, let me check. Yeah, it said that for every fixed choice of epsilon greater than 0, so probably you can.
Then you have a little bit of.
But epsilon should not depend on R and N, so that's the point. It's absolute constant. So like for R is say polylog often, it is bad.
What should I think of R as polynomial?
Sorry?
What should I think of R as?
Oh, why should you think about that? Okay, for example, in our application, So we construct this path connectivity hypergraph, and so for each hyperedge, it corresponding to a path satisfied some demand pairs, right? And this path is usually of length logarithmic to the size of a graph, even in spanner graph. So that is the parameter regime we use in our work. Yeah, good question. And let me just mention one more version of this result that's previously used in the Santa Claus problem. Yeah, I have not formally defined either of these applications, but I believe that intuitively you can get what parameter regime that you that one need. So that. So this theorem is in so analyze this is Ola Stevenson, and the K should be Crystal Galas this. So they can find they can find a nearly perfect matching in polynomial time. So I will tell you what is a nearly perfect matching is, and the assumption is something more strengthened than that one. So then you can compute so in poly time so compute a set that we call it near perfect matching. I don't know what they call in their paper, but if for each a that such that it is possible to choose a disjoint subset of yeah, this is weird, but I will explain. Such that essays are disjoint. So this is saying you come like so in this way it is like matching, but the hyper edges they can overlap a little bit in the right hand side. So this is saying okay, you can choose a subset such as the cardinality is not. I need to yeah, like each of SA is of cardinality somehow large, still large. Okay, question.
Sorry, could you just really briefly, in like 1 or 2 sentences, restate the idea of this second theorem, say KS theorem?
Yeah, I think the algorithm, all of like including ours that I haven't stated yet, but like all these three are based on alternating tree or alternating forest. So it's like in normal graph, one might just need to find alternating paths. But in hypergraph, so each hyperedge might be blocked by multiple edges, which that's when you want to augment, that becomes a tree structure, right? And yeah, so I will introduce this the intuition later. Yeah. But all these actually based on the same logic.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand the AKS thing. So it's a relaxation of a matching.
Yeah,
Because the edges don't have to be disjoint.
yeah,
But each edge basically gets credit for like a disjoint subset of that edge. So like you get one edge for each A, and then you have to take a subset of each edge.
yeah,
And then for each A you get one edge, then you get a subset of that edge,
Yeah.
The subsets you take have to be disjoint,
Yeah, the subset.
like in matching, and then also they need to be large.
Yeah, they need to be large, and I believe that is a property that they need in their like Santa Claus problem, because you do want to allocate these atoms in a like fair way and maintain the cardinality approximately. Yeah, so that's a version. So this implies a constant approximation of the Santa Claus problem, which I don't know how it works, but yeah, okay, now let me
Sorry, and so their algorithm is not dominated by the 18 because theirs is always polytime.
Yeah, they are always polytime. Yes.
And so you're saying that you can't plug in like epsilon equals r to the 18 result because epsilon needs to be an absolute constant.
You can. So this, I don't think. So like just for the parameter regime of r equals to polylog, I think it's tricky, right? Like it's it is always worse than the.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean they have different properties. And now it comes to ours. So we assume something even stronger. Let's say this function of n probably that okay, Pn should be larger than some constant. And you need a quadratic flow up. Then you need that 84. Then there exists a time almost linear to compute. E to the 1 plus 1 over omega square root log 5. Yeah, so this I think so as I explained, like in our parameter regime, you think about R to be logarithmic unit, right? So you can just play another log factor here to achieve almost linear time. Yes.
What is the
DA is something, I mean, you can pick as long as it this satisfy this condition is satisfied.
It depends on n.
Yeah, it can depend on it. And it can be a constant, say 4. But then you get polynomial time out.
So that's all math is at least before we get this trade-off.
Yeah, we are not optimizing this for actually. Because but you see like if it is constant, you can get a polynomial time out. Yeah.
So is the idea here that if your hitting set is sufficiently large, in other words, your edges don't have much overlap, you can get a perfect matching?
Yes. So I will elaborate that in the equation. Yeah. How much time do I have?
You're trying to take an hour for the talk. Like, did you want to leave time for a discussion, or you wanted to talk and then?
Say leave 10 minutes.
Discussion.
Then I can. I have 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's good for like giving a high level intuition for the article. Yeah. So okay. So
Actually, sorry, can I ask a question?
yes.
Am I correct that P is like always at most n m and always at least m? Or it's even better, it's always at most m r even.
Wait, did I define m here?
You wrote P is the sum of the size of all edges.
Wait, like so in hypergraph there's no m. So P is the like m is in normal graph. Okay. okay, you're saying like the number of edges should be m, and then you want to say okay,
Yeah,
it's
like I'm
at the most
wondering-
m. Yes.
Like I'm
Actually,
wondering-
okay, actually yes, yeah.
I'm wondering, is it super important that this is like nailed down to the sum of the size of the edges rather than just like
An M?
rather than just like r times the number of edges or something?
The number of edges. Okay.
Like this is clearly less than r times m, right?
Yeah, RM, yeah.
Like, is there a lot of interest in
I
nailing down?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because they are so until now, like R is considered to be some polylog. Okay.
Do A and B partition the vertex set?
Sorry.
Do A and B partition the vertex set?
Yes, they partition the vertex set because it's bipartite. Yeah, good question. And I think in our algorithm, P is even something not polynomial. But okay, so you are not explicitly given the hypergraph, but you have the oracle that to say enumerate the hyperedges or enumerate the hyperedges that disjoint from the current set. So that is a way we so we get the theorem that's okay. This is I'll just briefly mention this theorem because it's for graph algorithm people. So given a graph G of conductance phi, G is phi expander. And a set of terminal pairs such that each vertex is at most k many pairs. And you have a mean degree delta. So delta then you can do so in almost linear time, you can compute a set of disjoint paths. A set of disjoint paths from xi to ti. Then edge disjoint here. I do need to emphasize they are edge disjoint, such that like you need to assume some polynomial dependency on phi and delta. Yeah. So the way, briefly mentioned the way of proving this is using something similar to this theorem, but this is not a corollary of that one because so here we are
The second theorem G is just a graph, it's not a hypergraph anymore.
Yeah, this is graph, and we will now construct a hypergraph. So each demand pair in this set corresponding to a vertex in A. So now so for each. Okay, let me say this is I in Q. And now I in Q, you create a vertex A, like you add AI to A, right? And it stands for demand pair. And B is just the support of whole edges in the original graph G. Yeah, so for each E in EG, you add a vertex that stands for this edge to B. And for each path, so now, okay, this is something like you need to take care that is for each path that connecting SI to TJ, SI to TI, you want to add a hyper edge that stands for this edge, that stands for this path, right? So you want to, okay, now you want to create a hyper edge that
It's not gonna be like a ton of edges.
yeah, there will be enormous number of edges, but somehow you can bypass this. So it will contain AI and also say this is P. Then like all the edges in P.
So that's what you mean by it's not a corollary of the theorem.
It's not corollary, yeah, because P will not be a polynomial anymore. Yeah, but now we use a variant of that. Yeah, then you cannot black box applying the algorithm, but you just observe if you have an oracle that gives you gives every time you ask the oracle, it gives you an edge that's disjoint from all the edges already in the partial matching. Like by disjoint, I mean disjoint in the right hand side. Then that suffices to compute this. High level. Yeah, I will skip. Yeah.
So why that thing is not clear? I can't see it properly.
Phi cube times delta is at least to the little 1 times k. K is a number of pairs. So the takeaway is here, you can have expansion to be subconstant. So previously, Noga Alon and Parable, they proved a result very similar to this, but only works for phi to be constant.
Deterministic or otherwise?
That is deterministic. All these are deterministic. Good question. Because randomized, you can always do it very simple and very fast. I believe that you can just do something.
So basically, you very efficiently you do what you need to do, and then you can verify if you succeeded. And worst case, start again, or are there
So
some
that is called.
cases?
Okay, that's actually you still need some graph like ideas, which is called splitting and expander. And like then you can if you can split an expander into say polylogarithmic many expanders, and then you can just compute let's say a flow and do sampling, do rounding, which that by splitting that expander that saves you the logarithmic factor of doing rounding, because you need integral path.
But is it kind of really linear, or is it
all
linear
these are
like max flow is linear?
yeah you it is some easier tasks than max flow, I would say, but I mean that is a hammer that you can just use.
But
it is
do
already
you use this hammer, or
yes, we did. We also use max flow. It is deterministic. Yes.
So instead of giving Q source sync pairs, can we just give one source sync pair and ask it to compute many disjoint paths?
That is very similar to the idea of computing the perfect matching actually. Yeah, because you are growing the alternating tree if you build it in this stage.
So we need not have multiple sources and sinks. We can just have one and create multiple paths between.
Oh, sorry, I probably I don't understand your question before.
So here you have Q source and sink pair.
Yeah,
So suppose Q equal to 1.
yeah.
But I ask you to give me multiple disjoint paths between the.
Oh, then that is easy because you can just compute the max flow, and the max flow can be split in, like it's called path decomposition theorem.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, and by the way, this only gives you polytype. We improve it in two directions. Like one is yeah, like one way is improving the runtime, and the other is improving the dependency on the expansion parameter, the conductance.
And you get hence disjoint paths if I ask for vertex disjoint paths.
Yeah, good question. Then you need something like a vertex expansion.
Oh.
which seems to be too strong, like one method, because here yeah, we thought about that. Yeah, good question. But that seems the assumption looks too strong, so we didn't write it down. Yeah. Okay, so then let's get back to the hypergraph perfect matching algorithm and ignore the graph applications. So let me just use the one. Yeah, so now let's consider how to find an alternating path, right? You start from some unmatched vertex in A. So you start some, this is a root, A0 in A. And then you enumerate the edges incident to it one by one, right? And what you do, I probably need a different color, but I don't see the chalk. Yeah, anyways, so yeah, probably I can draw dash hyperedges means these hyperedges are in the matching that blocks this edge from including it in the matching as well, right? So there might be multiple edges blocking it. Oh. Right. So these edges, we call them blocking edge. Now they want to add this edge in, but they block. Okay, now we just create a set of edges. Okay, I indicated them as blocking edges. And then we know this edge you can't insert it, but then let's enumerate other options. Okay, now as I said, you just need an oracle that gives you a hyperedge that disjoint from all the hyperedges already exists. You maintain this subset that contains everything. Okay, it might also blocked by some other edges. And now you go, so this is the first layer, and now you start in the next layer. These vertices are also in A, right? So I draw it in a way that these vertices are in B. Okay. The odd layers are in A and the even layers are in B. Okay. And again, you want to enumerate hyperedges that disjoint from all the B vertices appeared before. Yeah, so on and so forth. And some of them are edible, right? Like if edible, you can probably do a switch. But to obtain efficient algorithm, you don't do a switch at the time you observe it. You do it as a batch. So that is the idea. So this is, we call it edible if it is not blocked. Edible edge. Yeah. Some of them are blocked, and some of them are edible. Okay, and we'll set up a parameter mu. So okay, let me first. There are a lot of parameters. Let me set the one by one. Okay, we call this x0 these white edges, and y0 these red edges, x1, y1, yeah, so on and so forth. Yeah, so let's say now the alternating tree has layers, right? And when we do an update, is when we have the size of the edible edges. We will call it, let me name it Okay. XL, if it contains more than mu times XL, edible edges. Then we will do a swap in a batch way. Right, okay, and this is one update, and the other you also need to, okay, once you do a swap, you need to go to the layer above to see, okay, now do I have that many fraction of edible edges again for the layer above, and you do this so you do this iteratively. This is called collapsing tree. So eventually the hope is you finally free some edges for A0 and you can just add it to the matching. Okay, is this framework clear? Yeah, so only there are three things you need to know. One is the grow layer. This is by, okay, now probably all like there is not that many fractional edible edges. Then you grow layer, you go to the next layer. And two, once this happens, we do a that is called collapse tree. Collapse tree. Right. And eventually you want to free okay, there are like two options actually. Get into first. Like a swap, and you will have yeah. So that is the framework of the algorithm. And now I need to argue where we use the assumption, the Hexel, the strengthened Hexel assumption. And the other thing I need to prove is the runtime, that this algorithm eventually terminates, right? And the correctness is obvious, that you never violating the matching property. And in the end, you grow one edge, you put it in the matching. And so, yeah, now let me explain these two things. So probably it's more intuitive to see the first one, that you need the Hexel's assumption. Otherwise, you cannot do this. So this is, you can always grow layer as the Hexel's assumption. Strengthen Hexel. This is saying okay, the proof idea is quite simple actually, that you just take all the B vertices already exist here, and you say this is not a heating set. That there are some more edges you are not heating by this subset, and you grow it. Okay. Okay, I'm cheating somewhere, but as long as you didn't notice, I will just keep that. Okay, does that make sense? Like you need Hexel? Okay, and now I'll explain or argue why we have a better runtime. The high-level idea is that with that strengthened Hexel, L is sublogarithmic. And the runtime exponentially depends on L. So in the previous algorithm, it is super logarithmic. That's the reason they need super polynomial time. Or like that one, I believe they have a logarithmic depth. Okay. And then we use a potential function to say that as what for any of these two operations, after you perform it, some layer changes by at least the mu fraction. And say if you set mu to be a constant, then okay, each time it's either grow by mu fraction or the size of the layer shrink by mu fraction. Then using a potential argument, right? Then it is then eventually yeah, so you create a signature vector. Say psi 0, psi 1 to psi L. And psi I, you just take the logarithmic of say something like 1 poly mu of the size of the layer, right? XL xi and the same for yi. So you say so I'm saying after each step of 1 or 2, some signature changes. And they are at most the exponential of how many signatures. And that's why the runtime can be bounded by this. And each step it takes at most the linear time. Say each step it takes at most the peak time. Right? And the high level idea why our algorithms runs faster is that we make L to be log n over log dn. And that's the reason the first term will be subpolynomial.
So if it fails, do you get a receipt for a violation or of
question.
of the condition? Because the condition is hard to verify, but maybe
Right.
I don't care if this is a proof that that the condition failed, but do you get an explicit proof?
Okay, yeah, I believe
Like
that
some LP condition that basically is incompatible with stuff.
yeah. Okay, now I understand the first part of your question, and let me first answer that. So, I believe if you are not able to obtain perfect matching, you just get a witness that violating that condition. This is true, but I don't understand the second part.
And the simple proof, like a linear programming proof, or
So that is not a proof, right? Like say, if you have a perfect matching, you might still.
I take your paper, I attach it to the execution of the algorithm that fails, and it's a proof that the condition failed, right?
Yeah, but sometimes the condition fails, but you still get a perfect matching, which you don't
Right,
have.
but so fine, but if the algorithm fails, do I get a simple proof that the condition failed? Like a direct some linear inequalities.
Oh, that
like
a similar
LP.
proof. Okay.
So
Yeah, so you
there must be
just
some
you just take the okay, see the time like the algorithm fails, and you take the set of vertices that now in the alternating tree. That is a witness. You do get a witness. Okay, good questions. I believe I can stop here. That's and yeah, and suggestions for improving this talk. This is the first time I gave it.
depends who the audience, right?
Yeah.
You're planning on presenting at stop.
This is soda. Yeah.
It's like not exactly the right format for soda.
Sure.
So I think for a board talk, I think you generally started well. And I would just say like I think you generally started well. And I think you were prepared for all the questions. I think for a board talk, it was fine. I got distracted for like 2 minutes when you switched to the algorithm, and then I picked back up. But that's my fault. It's not your.
That there, right?
No, that was fine.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying when you switch to the actual
Oh,
algorithm,
really?
I got distracted.
Oh, I see.
But that's my fault. I think for if you were trying to turn it into a soda talk. I still think you'd like, I mean, on one hand, it's a fundamental enough problem that I feel like people, I don't know, Mark, what you do, but I feel like it's a fundamental enough problem that I don't think people will expect you to say that much about context. At the same time, I do think it was helpful that you went through the prior work a little bit slowly so that I could get somewhat, like I could feel where the holes are, like feel where room for improvement is, or like feel that like, oh, there's this long line of work dating back at least 10 years where people relax Haxel's condition and try and design like I think that was like that's an important point to go.
I agree. Also, just understanding the condition because false makes sense because it's perfect. This looks like a condition that I could be convinced that it's the right condition, but nobody's born convinced. But like LP duality, let's say, is a real thing, so we are treating it. Okay, if you have a tight condition because of LP duality, we have to believe you. But this seems to be, you could think of many relaxations, right? So, and your main contribution is working with this relaxation for better other things.
Yeah.
So, but maybe justifying and explaining it for.
Sorry, I have another suggestion to you. So is there a single technical lemma that is used in both theorems? Or the only thing is you're like, well, I use similar algorithms.
Oh, these two. Yes. Okay, the technical, yeah, we do have a technical lemma, but that is not a black box way. I need to define what does the layer mean in this right in this alternating tree, and you want to say, okay, the oracle returns an edge that disjoint from something. So yeah, we do have this lemma, which is
And it's used in both.
in both. Yeah.
I feel like that may be a judge that maybe you'd have to try it.
Yeah, I believe in a soda talk, I will do that.
Because I think one thing that's nice is saying that these are two, like it was very nice that when you pointed out that like this is not like there's no way one is a corollary of the other. And so anytime you can get two seeming, they're like, it's clear how they're related. You did a good job saying why they're related. It's clear that they're not the same result. So anytime that you can have like a single lemma is useful for two things.
Yes.
It's nice to emphasize that. If
I
the
see.
lemma is just like super technical and you're just like, there's no way anyone wants to see me write that in a talk, then don't do that. But like, but like if there's some way, like if there's some way to like either slightly massage or slightly cheat in what you're presenting, so that you can say like everything I'm presenting from this part of the talk is used for both, and then where they fork is was this or something like that, or don't even say I don't know, but like does that make sense?
Yeah, probably I do need to mention that they comes from the same technical lemma that and yeah, if it is a slide talk, probably I can just put it in some way that but I mean writing it down probably take too much time here. Yeah.
The other thing I would say maybe that's good to prepare is like for what range is epsilon valid for the 2018 paper? And what ranges? I think that actually might be good to know in like states in the talk so that you can say like these are the poles. So you can say like here are some parameters where like it's wide open. Here are some parameters. If it's feasible to know, here are some parameters where it's NP hard. That's nice to know too. Or like it's like one of the things is you need to get the audience sold on like it is interesting to relax Axel's condition and explore. And And then a good way to get me drawn into that a little bit is to say sort of, here's a range you have no hope of exploring because it's still in the part. Here's a range that's already solved by prior work, we're not gonna do better.
I see.
Here's a range where prior work has something that's not very good.
I see.
Maybe here's a range where it's called, oh, no, that seems good, but I can get it here later. Or, you know what I mean, like help get me someone interested in that space. Like sometimes people even just make like 2D plots. Or like maybe only 1D, but you know, like something like that.
Yeah.
Like I think that would help in the intro part, but I still think I gotta run to my office hours.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Also, given, if you look at a condition 5 kilometer, is at least greater than, and a little.
That one, 5 IQ.
And because your algorithm is deterministic, this also answers the purely graph theoretic question, which is how much expansion do I need so that there exists.
There exists, right, yeah. Thank you.
So tomorrow there is a talk by Philip Strack in economics, which is, so there's one tomorrow and one Thursday.